Everyone, my name is Zakia Ringgold, and we are trying our Vodcast again. We have been pretty consistent, and I know sometimes when I get started, it's not necessarily reflecting here. So let me say hello again. My name is Zakia Ringgold of Live Soap School, Natural Soap by Zakia, and Virtual Experience Design Agency. So today's Vodcast is how easy is it to start a business? And this question came particularly in my Instagram DMs. Someone had emailed or sent me a direct message, and it said, I saw your YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is all about soap making. It's not the virtual event planning or anything like that. She said she was watching my YouTube channel and she was wondering how easy it is to make soap, and because she was considering starting a business. I do see Chantel is here. Hello, my dear. How are you? Um, and so I started to respond to her, and my initial response was starting a soap business can be as easy or as difficult as you make it. And I started to go into more detail, and it started becoming paragraph upon paragraph. I said, well, you've been struggling for a topic, so why not make this a podcast episode? I'm going to pause and say hello to my beautiful friends over on, it looks like all of you are watching on YouTube. So Chantel, Claudia, Miss T, I miss you from our Periscope days. Very good to see you, my dear. And so I am going to share with you what I was responding to her in terms of how easy it is to start a business. Now, to be honest, any business is very easy to start, right? If you didn't give me a new name, Claudia. What that is all spell check thinks that there's no way anybody would be named Zakia, so they always change it whenever you put it on here. But I know what you meant. But thank you for thank you for watching, is what I will say. So how easy is it? It is extremely easy to get started doing anything. You know how they say an idea is a dime a dozen. Like, people have ideas all the time. It's the constant execution and honing in on what your craft is that makes it either that much more simpler because you start putting processes in place, or that much more difficult because you start noticing there's a lot of voids in the space. There's a lot of things that your customers are asking for. So all of that starts to impact how easy or how difficult it is to start a business. So I'm going to answer the question particularly around soap making, because I will put this on the Live Soap School blog. But then I'm also going to broaden it to just business in general. I think of myself as an avid entrepreneur. I see opportunity in everything. And so I think some of the lessons from soap making apply no matter what your business or career may be. But for soap making, um, as a soap maker, there are just some general principles that you need to know. Now, people who have been in the soap industry for 15,000 years are going to be the ones who tell you it's very difficult. You have to spend years and years and years figuring it out. That is false. That is completely false. Soap making, at its essence and at the very base of it, is understanding the chemistry behind the sodium hydroxide or the potassium hydroxide, which is the lye solution, and how that impacts the oils or the butters that you're using to make the finished product. So you could make soap with coconut oil, some sodium hydroxide, and some distilled water, and you could have a bar of soap. People might love that bar of soap. It's a bright white soap. It'll lather beautifully. It'll probably strip your skin because you didn't have things. But at its essence, you have made a product, right? You have made a product. You've put a label on it, and you then turn around and sell it. If somebody buys it, you happen to be in business. That is not the business that I'm telling you to make as a soap maker. But the part where it becomes difficult is when you start to figure out, well, wait a minute. I need to understand the science. I need to follow the rules and the regulations for this particular industry that I'm in. So there are specific labeling requirements that you have to take into account. You have to make sure that whatever you are making is going to be safe for the skin. It'll last, it'll lather, it'll do what it's supposed to do, right? So just because you can make a thing doesn't necessarily mean you should sell that thing. It's really important that you understand how it's made, how it's going to impact others, and then most importantly, if you like it, if you would buy it. I always say be your first customer with anything that you do. So, how is it made? And then the next thing is, how are you going to source those ingredients or source that technology that you need in order to do whatever it is that you're serving in your business? Many soap makers, myself included, found out during COVID that prices almost doubled overnight. Some containers and some packaging and some labeling that we used to be able to get without a hitch had like 6 week wait times or completely discontinued. The ingredients that we use, olive oil, coconut oil, palm oil. Some people use lard, some people use tallow. But all of those ingredients started creeping up in price. And if you weren't managing it like a business to understand what your cost of producing something was, how you went about going and doing those things, you probably found yourself really in the red. And then a lot of people lost jobs. They couldn't continue to buy like really expensive soap, or just the things that we took for granted. We realized during COVID that you necessarily can't take those for granted. So, going back to the question, how easy is it to start a soap business? Fairly easy. The barrier to entry is really low. I say learn the science of what it is that you're making, understand who you think your customers are going to be, and get like some test cases with them. Additionally, I'm going to broaden it now. So, whatever your business is, whether that be a physical product, like something that you can ship and sell to someone, that's a physical product, or a digital product in the form of courses, instructional materials, certification programs, whatever that thing is, do you have an efficient method of delivering it? Because just because it's digital or physical, you still need to get it into the hands of the customer. So that's where that easy starts to become a little more challenging because you have to figure those things out. And then, speaking of customers, how are you going to market to them so that they know you have this particular thing that's available for them? So, will you be using social media? Will you be using local ads and radio ads? Will you be hopping your trunk? Will you be doing pop up shops? So, how you're going to get people to keep coming back for what it is that you have is really, really important. So, I guess the long and the short answer is it's very easy to start any business that you are considering, as long as you know the basic foundations of how to make it, how to produce it, how to ensure it's safe. But then the real question comes in with how are you going to sustain it, and how are you going to then deliver what it is that you're promising, creating, building, making to the end user, which is the customer. You are not in business if you don't have customers. Customers are the lifeblood of any business. And without them, you're not in business. You are in a hobby kind of a situation. I enjoy starting businesses, especially if there's areas that I've never seen before. Um, you learn a lot. There's a lot of mistakes that can come along the way, but there's also a lot of successes that go right along with each one of them. So, for all of you who have joined me, I am trying to keep these under 10 minutes because I know you're all on lunch breaks and whatnot. But keep that same curiosity for whatever it is that you're doing and keep on moving forward with whatever your goal is. Business is not easy, but it is definitely, definitely rewarding. Bye, everybody.